Today in Springfield, an effort to end predatory lending practices is calling on the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court to step in. Western Mass News reporter Matt Price has the story.
An emotional morning for members of the Massachusetts Alliance Against Predatory Lending. Their initiative to stop the historic rate of foreclosures across the Commonwealth and demand the state's Supreme Judicial Court to outlaw discriminatory practices of lenders and financial institutions. Coordinator Grace Ross tells Western Mass News this is a crisis that has been happening for a very long time.
It is the largest in the history of the United States. Literally, the last time foreclosure rates were close to this was as part of the American Revolution. It's part of what led to the overthrow of the King of England.
Organizers and impacted homeowners came together at a Rise for Social Justice in Springfield on Tuesday. Among them, Gary Yard of West Springfield, who got his first mortgage in 1997. But in 2005, he got a second mortgage, stirring up controversy.
The lender in the mortgage and that lender doesn't really exist, has never existed. And 3 years later, almost 3 years later, they decided to get to be licensed as a LLC to the Secretary of State. Then again, they don't have license to do business in Massachusetts, neither in New York, where they supposedly came from.
Ross tells us her organization has been working tirelessly to get this issue to the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court.
The top court in Massachusetts has been silent for 50 years on those property rights, those real property rights belonging equally to everyone. And that has got to change.
Western Mass News reached out to the SJC for comment. In response, a spokesperson tells us, quote, the Supreme Judicial Court declines to comment on matters that are pending or impending. For now, the Alliance's fight continues with one goal in mind.
We're just asking for equal rights to be in court and fight in the higher courts.
Ross says they will continue to highlight other homeowners' cases while their calls for justice are ongoing. In Springfield, Matt Price, Western Mass News.